and welcome back to Jazz I Am, the international meeting with a deep love for everything jazz. After a first fruitful day, today we've got a lot more to come. Today's lineup is actually very similar to yesterday's, but with a couple of fun new additions. We'll have a round of speed meetings and also a Jazz I Am off concert. Last year, the speed meetings were a big hit, so we're happy that this year we're providing you again with a chance to present your project and meet industry professionals. And as for the off concert, stay tuned because we'll find out more later on. And so let's just dive in. Let's start with the first activity of the day. It's a panel discussion on the survival of our favorite jazz clubs. You know, getting butts and seats has always been a tricky topic to navigate, and it's even trickier now that we're into a global pandemic, and that has made matters more difficult. And so, what strategies are jazz clubs coming up with to face this difficult situation? We'll discuss it, and we'll talk about it with 4 programmers from different venues across Europe. In fact, one of them, Joan Mas, the owner and current programmer of Jamboree Jazz in Barcelona, isn't able to be here live, so he sent us a video to watch. And remember that once again, you can participate and interact with the speakers and the moderator through the chat that will appear on your screen. You can ask any questions, and if they have time, they'll address them in the end. So we'll start off with Joan Mas's video, but first I must introduce the amazing moderator that we have today, the music journalist at Time Out Barcelona, Borja Dunió. So Borja, good morning, buen día.
Sorry,
There we go. No, that's great.
I was mute. Okay, good morning, Ellie. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm going to introduce you the speakers because apart from Joan Mas, who's going to speak through a video, we have here, please correct me if I don't pronounce well your names. We have Frank van Werkel from the Bimhuis in Amsterdam, Michael Stuckel from the Unterfahrt in Munich, if I say it well, and Adel Petneki from the BMC Budapest Music Center in Hungary. If my pronunciation is not good enough, please correct me, because so people can know the correct pronunciation. So Ellie, I don't know, I think we start with the video and then we start with speaking.
Correctly, yes, correct. Okay. Yep, let's watch the video and afterwards we'll start the discussion.
Hola, soc el Joan Mas, el propietari del Jamboree des de 1993. El Jamboree va obrir les portes a l'any 60. Ha sigut el primer club de jazz que va obrir a Espanya i ha estat fent actuacions ininterrompudament fins actualment. Des del 93 hem fet actuacions a diari, 2 passes a les 8 i a les 10, de música en viu, sense descansar ni un dia. El primer cop que es tanca el Jamboree va ser perquè per decret de l'estat espanyol, que ens va fer tancar per la pandèmia i portem 8 mesos tancats. És increïble, jo crec que és l'únic país del món on ha fet tancar negocis i no ha donat cap ajut fins ara. Espanya és dels països, per no dir el país, amb menys clubs de música en viu, perquè sempre, ja des dels reis del segle XVII i XVIII, ja el ball i la música eren pecat i quan Espanya era una primera potència mundial, mai va ser una primera potència mundial musical perquè les institucions mai van ajudar. Pese a això, Espanya sempre ha tingut una riquesa de música popular i de músics increïble. Continua tenint molts bons músics de jazz, de flamenc i de música popular, i la música és imparable. Per molt que no ens deixin obrir, per molt que vulguin no ajudar al món de l'art i de la música, la música és indestructible. Si no, el Jamboree no ens deixen obrir, obriran altres clubs, la gent sentirà música i ja es continuarà fent jazz. La música gravada, la música per internet, tot això està molt bé, ajuda a la música, és bo a les noves tecnologies, però mai substituiran el fet de la connexió del músic en directe, transmetint el seu feeling. Tinc moltes ganes de que es puguin tornar a obrir els clubs, tinc moltes ganes de que ens deixin obrir. El problema és que quan obrim el deute serà impressionant i passarem un temps difícil. Però estic convençudíssim que el públic, després d'una pandèmia, com va passar als anys 20, després de la grip espanyola, el públic necessita música en viu, necessita nit, necessita ballar i necessita sentir música. I serà impressionant. Jo crec que la millor època del Jamboree serà a partir del 2020, quan tornem a reobrir. El Jamboree ha sigut un local d'èxit, ha sigut un local de molt feeling i ha sigut increïble i als anys 60 i als anys 90 i als 2000. Però els 2020 seran increïbles, perquè la necessitat que té la gent de poder connectar amb la música i amb els músics és imparable. Visca el jazz, visca la música en viu i visca la revolució cultural. A la merda, el coronavirus, en company.
Well, so with this last statement of to hell with COVID, let's start this panel discussion. So Borja, the floor is all yours.
Yes, I know, Joan, and okay, it seems like we're heading to the new roaring 20s, according to him, which would be great, I think. And I have to say that Joan, during these months that Jamboree Jazz Club has to be closed, he did program gigs or concerts outside, open air, in front of the Jamboree. I know that also because we have the Time Out offices in the same building. So we had concerts in Plaza Real, which is a very central part from Barcelona. And it was great. So he has been like struggling a lot and to keep on with the live music in Barcelona. I think that he introduces what was intended to be my first question, and it's an obvious one to start, and it's about COVID. How did COVID affect your clubs? Did you have to close from some time this year? And what difficulties have you been through? And what strategies did you find to keep on? I don't know, who would like to start?
Yeah, I can start if you want.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, it was a totally change of the club feeling when we had to shut down mid of March, and we had to shut down for till end of June. And normally our club it's not very big. We have 160 seats, but it's normally always crowded. 360 days a year it's crowded, and we never closed it for more than a couple of days. The longest period was 12 days, and during the World Championship in the past, and we said we will never do this again. We will never close the club for more than a day. And so that was a totally change in the feeling. It was a terrible feeling. But we just thought about what to do, and we just started to continue the concerts with live streams quite soon. And we tried not to cancel any gigs, which was not so difficult because in the spring season we had a lot of international artists and they canceled themselves because they couldn't tour. So we started streaming from the club without an audience in early April, and started again then with a small audience in July with 30 people allowed, and this went through to October. So we had concerts during the summer with a small audience, and it worked quite well, but it's a totally different feeling. And yeah, and we professionalized the streaming, and we got a lot of support from people who were watching the streams, and it was, yeah, we built an audience for the streamings, which was quite interesting. Yeah? So we could pay the artists even more money than we normally do, and I think we don't pay them too bad. So we really try to do everything for the artists in the period, because yeah, they were the worst hidden group people.
Are you open now?
No, we had to close in November again, and but we did all the concerts which were planned. So we had two quite nice live stream concerts with David Murray the last week in 2 different settings, which is incredible to have an artist like him in a totally empty club. And we just do 4 or 5 gigs a week with mainly local artists, but some which are able to travel from Austria and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Abel, how was it in Budapest?
Well, we had to close our venue twice, first in March and now in November. And the first wave of the pandemic was actually quite mellow here in Hungary, but despite that, all events had to be cancelled, indoor, outdoor, everything. We did not really know how long this period would last, so we did not start live streaming. We were hoping to reopen, and we rescheduled most of the gigs to September, October, November. For the summer, we were open because events under 500 people were allowed back. But for festivals, this was a very, very tragic summer. So many live music companies let their team go. But our owner and director has been running BMC for 22 years now, and his main priority was to keep our team together. So in a sense, we are very, very lucky. But summer was not so good, actually. Our summer season was around like 40% of what we were supposed to have in terms of audience and income. And then in September, COVID returned very hard in Hungary. And even though we could still stay open, the audience did not return as people started to self-isolate. So even for sold out shows, the audience simply did not really show up. It was like something like 25 or 30% of the audience that we were expecting. And now everything is closed down again until January 11. And closures in Hungary are announced really last minute with immediate effect for 30 days usually. So it's quite difficult to plan anything ahead, even live streams. But we used the closure for like several good things as well, because we were sure, and we are still sure, that we would reopen. So we did some repairs and we did some developments, especially to our recording studio. And we hired some new video professionals, because a lot of professionals like sound engineers, video engineers were suddenly out of work and on the market. So and I know this is tragic, but for us, this was lucky because we got to have a great selection. So we hired 2 new people to manage videos. And we also hired a new production manager to fill in for one of our great colleagues who is retiring this year. And again, we had a great selection of candidates, as so many people were looking for a new job. And we finished some old projects as well, including a new website for our record label, BMC Records, and we published almost all of our old recordings. So our back catalog is now available as a digital reissue on Spotify and everywhere else. So in a sense, for us, as an independent and privately owned company, of course, this was a very, very big hit financially, but we try to stay true to our mission. And actually, my boss said that there have been worse times in the last 2 decades. So yeah, we try to do what we can, and we are very eager to reopen with the live music.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Frank, how was it in Amsterdam?
Yeah, well, I guess more or less similar to the others. We had been fighting our own crisis in 2018 and 2019 because we had a big financial deficit. And we worked really hard to get over that. And actually, in the beginning of 2020, we were actually just balanced. And in February 2020, we had our best month in Bimhuis ever. So we had really the biggest amount of visitors and the best income. And then suddenly in March, Corona came in. So we closed down, canceled more or less 65 national and international concerts until the end of June. And during that time, we also worked on some, cleaning up the venue and cleaning up the archive, doing some recording for artists. And but we couldn't do any program because the program budget was zero because of the danger of the club falling down. We were not allowed to spend any money, so we couldn't help any artists. That was quite hard, I found. And then in the summer, we could reopen. And normally we close in the summer. So this was actually new for us to do a summer program. And we are already very experienced in online streaming with Bimhuis TV. You can check that out on the YouTube channel. But also that costs quite some money. But in the summer, we were able to do concerts in 2 sets for a capacity of 73 visitors per set in a protocol which was made, all the audience 1.5 meter apart and everything very safe. And so we did these concerts online once a week on a Saturday night. And the income from the ticket sales was just enough to pay the artists and some extra artist-related expenses. So we were able to do this until the end of the summer, end of August. And then in September, we gradually were able to do a little bit more concerts. Unfortunately, all the international concerts were canceled from the artists. They were just not able to come for different reasons, travel restrictions, etc. So actually, we didn't do any international concerts. And in October also, we were supposed to have our first international concert. But then again, we had to cancel due to new restrictions of the government. The second wave was coming in. And so we closed down. And then we reopened on the 31st of October. To close down right away on the 1st of November again, I think. So we did a lot of work, rescheduling concerts and making new programs and finding new ideas and to postpone everything again. So that was a really hard time. Yeah, and then we reopened again halfway November. And until now, we are open for 30 visitors per set and the bar closed. So it's really, really everything undressed. We sort of remoduled the room in the venue. So the chairs are apart. It's very safe. We have some new lightings. So the atmosphere is really great, but very empty. We stream a lot of the concerts, not all of them, but as much as possible. But of course, yeah, we have a lot of support from national and local institutions. And we also created some new projects, new ideas, so we could do some composition assignments and develop some special projects for now. And this is all possible because we have a lot of support. Without this support, this would not be possible. We couldn't even keep the whole venue going on without the support. So, and we have some rentals also going on still, so that gives some income, but the income is really low at this moment. In the past, we had like 400 visitors in the hall and we were sold out many times. We had a lot of rentals, and now this is all has disappeared. So we are going through difficult times. We really feel it. So I am happy we can continue at this moment for these 30 visitors. We can help artists out. We keep the organization going. We can make some audience happy. Also, this is difficult, you know. We with 30, we are able to sell the tickets, but there are also quite some no-shows every time. And yeah, we are afraid that when we start building up again, not all the audience will be back there right away. So we will need some time for sure to get back to a sort of normal, for whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. Is there do you see, each of you, any light at the end of the tunnel now, maybe with the vaccines? It must be hard to program looking to 2021. I don't know, springtime, maybe summertime. I don't know if you're making your idea of when this can restart again, like normally.
Well, yeah, I call myself actually now the program canceller instead of the programmer, because I've been canceling more and moving and rescheduling and you know, I for the moment I even tried to do some European concerts, but even the German concerts get canceled. I mean, it's just across the border, but it's impossible even. So for now, I'm really focused on local programs and trying to build up slowly some more international, UK, Britain, Belgium, Germany, not too far away yet. And slowly see if we can, when the vaccine comes in, we can do a little bit more. But yeah, the Americans, it's just impossible at this moment. Also, we don't get an exemption for artists from overseas or wherever. Yeah, some, like the concert halls, they can get an exemption and have some possibilities for that. But for us, not. So I can't really look very, we have now January booked and we're looking at February and slowly a little bit more, but to the summer, I really don't know what's going to happen then. I figure out sort of in January, we will still be at 30, maybe February back to 73. I think this will last at least until the summer. And if we're lucky in the summer, we can build a little bit more, have a higher capacity. And then after the summer in the next season, maybe we're on the normal capacity again. So I pencil in some international bookings for then. Actually, that's, and we have a cooperation with the Muziekgebouw, it's the big hall next door. So some bigger names, we're also penciling them in and trying to make an agreement, but it's not very fixed yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you talked about supports from institutions. Actually, I wanted to discuss this because, as Joan Mas said, here in Spain, we don't have this like financial supports from government, city, etc. I would like to know in each of your countries if do you have a special support for this particular situation we're living right now?
Yeah, we are supported for the club. We are supported in the last years. We had some 25% from the city, and we could raise this for this year, which was fortunate because it makes a good start for the year. The reason was that in the past couple of decades, I was running the club as a volunteer, and I'm now part-time official, and so we made the city to pay us some more money. So it was a start for the problematic. We were in a good position, but the most important thing from our side was the funding through our members. We have the beginning of the COVID thing. We had 1,400 members which are supporting us with 12 euros a month, and I expected that many of them will resign and cancel the membership. But when I first wrote a letter to the members and to the audience on April 1, just discussing what we moved at the time, we got a couple of dozens new applications for the membership, even if we couldn't present anything. Oh. And so we are now with 1,500 members, and they spend some 200,000 euros a year. So we have the money for the program we take out of these memberships, so we could make a good program and pay good fees this year. The official programs for the clubs in Germany for the COVID situation is not so good. It started with some money for private club owners, but they could only pay some expenses they had. They couldn't get anything from them for themselves, so they can just put something in the rent or in the electricity or the whatever to keep the club running, but it was not enough. There was a big deal which is called New Start Culture, Neustart Kultur in German, and they promised 1 billion euro for venues, for culture, for different programs. And but as always, this is quite complicated to get through. We made an application for the first, which was a pilot project with the first 10 million euro, and we could apply for, I think, 30,000 euros, and we applied for some money for the video streaming techniques, and we got this. And we don't have the money yet, but we probably will get it this month. And we had some other programs out of this billion euro, which we applied for, though. But it's a little, it makes some hope, because we applied for the money for a program for next year, which is the same situation. We have, if we can open again, we have an audience of 30 probably for most of the next year. So it helps us to get some 50 or 70,000 euros for the program for the year. And so we're not sure if we get it, so we can't plan anyway, but there are some programs, and they try to help the venues, but it's for many of them it's quite difficult, especially for the private ones. And we are in a very good position because we have those membership fees, and we have the city support, which is not declined, and so for us it's good, but some other clubs are really starving. And for me, the situation is quite weird as well, because in the other part of my life, I'm a medical doctor. And so in March, I saw an empty club, and I saw, to the beginning of April, I saw a totally overcrowded hospital, and I saw a lot of people on the intensive care units. And we always waited in April for the moment when it's getting really weird, as in other countries like Spain or France and Italy, where the hospitals were not able to cope with the problem. And we just got the border in April, just below the critical it's a critical point. And so, yeah, to be to be honest, I was quite happy that I have to close the club because I saw the problem from other side as well.
Abel, how difficult is in Budapest, or do you have better supports?
Well, sadly, in Hungary, there is no direct support from the government or from the city to compensate clubs for the closures. This is sort of a big political issue here. So the official stance of the government is that support only applies to those who are actively working, which is really hard at the moment in the live music business. So, so it's kind of an impossible situation. But there are various grants for artistic fees available. But many of those grants specify a live audience, and they did not change the rules. So that does not allow live streams even. Now, other grants allow live streams. So now we do 2 live streams per week from Opus Jazz Club every Monday and Friday. And the artist fee comes from grants, and the technical costs are covered by us. These are free streams. So we are losing money actually on them, but we see live streams as sort of a question of image, and also giving an opportunity for artists and the audience to connect. And also we have quite a lot of international supporters like the Goethe Institute and the Austrian Cultural Forum, and many of those partners have been very, very flexible in rescheduling their support for this year to next year. But that means that we had to reschedule and reschedule and reschedule everything all the time. It's a lot of work, and now there's one of the concerts is now rescheduled for the 3rd time actually, and we are still not sure if it's gonna happen. So really financially, it's quite a big mess, I can say.
Okay, let's think positive if we can for a minute. And I would like to know what was your business model or programming model in each venue before COVID, and hopefully after COVID, because it will pass. And let's hope that it will be soon. So the audience can see like differences of how can a jazz club work, different ways, strategies in different parts of Europe. Who wants to start?
Shall I start?
Okay.
Okay, so we were doing quite well in ticket sales, and we had 65% self-income for the club and 35% coming from government and national funds, especially city funding, which is actually very good in Holland for this kind of music and in culture. And of course, we hope to continue to get back to that situation where we can have our main income from ticket sales and rentals, of course. What was your question exactly?
Yes,
it was about that, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes. I would like to know the difference between your jazz clubs in terms of business model strategies and how they survive. So your club is living out of ticket sales and supports from the government or the city, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, Jamboree Jazz Club, it was important for them the disco after the concerts, where they could like earn money because the concerts usually you can pay the musicians and you don't have big benefits. But I guess that all are different business models in each club.
Well, I mean, we can only exist if we do have support from the government. We are an expensive building. We have a lot of people working, professionals, technicians, production staff, publicity. But the club is in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is a crowded city, and many people coming from abroad, tourists, and people working. And they come to concerts, and we have seen that this is going really well. We can program all week long, and we can fill up the house. But we do need some support for that. And actually, starting from next year, 2021, we have extra support, because in Holland we have the system every 4 years. You make new plans, and for these plans you get the support. And so we made the application last year, and it was granted. So we will be back on a better level next year. So we really have big plans for new projects, commission awards, international programs, and talent. And so because of this diverse program, we think we can really bring in a wide range of audience. And so I'm looking forward to these roaring 20s coming up.
Okay.
Maybe what is nice, which I can add to this, is that we also, during this difficult COVID period, we had some ideas of commissioning awards, and we had some special funding that for artists, how they work during this time, what is their vision, how would they put this into music, how do they see playing this music for which audience, outside or in the venue. So we have some special projects coming up now this winter, especially focusing on COVID, which we had some special financial commissions for. So that makes a lot of possible. That helps artists out. So.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Michael, for instance.
Yeah. Our business model was quite similar. We had in the past years we had some 20% of funding through the city, and the difference probably was that we had very little staff and some volunteer works, as mine for example, for many years. So we were, it was important to have this funding, but it was not so essential in the past years. But it changed, that we were getting bigger, not from the location, but from the audience. In the last couple of years, we gained some 50% in audience, and we have, always, as Frank says, it's always 7 days a week we have a full house, and it was not really a problem to manage the thing with the combination out of the funding and the membership fees I always already mentioned, and the ticket sales. So it's 20% funding, 20% the memberships, and 60% ticket sales was the basic model for the last years. This year changed a bit because we got some more city funding. So it's now a bit more than a third of the takeover, which is from the city. And the program was quite diverse: contemporary jazz, 1/3 German artists, 1/3 European artists, and 1/3 overseas artists. And this changes now. As Frank mentioned, we have to look at the German artists in the moment because nobody can travel, and we managed to do some European concerts in the fall when we had open, and even when we were in shutdown since November again. But I think this will be the same thing in the next years, that we have to concentrate on different kind of program and try to get a different audience as well. And so the strategy is, I had the same feeling as Abel, that people did not would not fill the club if we could open it totally normal now. Yeah? We managed to sell out the concerts and everybody was there. So the 30, 35 people we had in the club, they were here, they didn't cancel, but I didn't think we could have 160 or 170 every night, which was the case before. So because people are afraid and don't want to get out and, like Abel said, self-isolate. And I think this will be for many more months the same feelings that we will be able to open. When we are able to open, we have to accept a smaller audience, and that's for me the reason why we will probably try to get the hybrid version for those who want to stay at home. We have the streaming possibilities, and in the moment it's free because we get so many donations for the streamings that I can't believe we could sell as many online tickets. So we still have it free and get enough money to pay the bands quite well in the moment. And so we will see how it develops next year when we start with an audience again. In September, October, when we had five concerts a week with an audience of 30 with 2 shows, so we had 60 altogether. And it was quite interesting because the donations for the live streams went down dramatically, because people probably thought, okay, they have audience now, they get an income now, and there were few, but the donations went down. And from the day the next lockdown was announced, our community, our members watched the live streams and donated more than they could pay entrance fees in the concerts. And yeah, I'm also thinking about doing a festival, probably not next year, but in the future. So we have some more activities to present jazz, and yeah. The problem will be the limited capacity of our venue. Yeah, the 73, which Frank mentioned, is, yeah, I could only dream about so many people in the venue.
Yeah, of course. How is the model at BMC, Adele?
Well, our business model is based on renting the venue for business events and providing services for those events. And we are using that money to produce our own music events and sustain our record label. And we even operate a music library in the building, which is free to use. So in a normal year, we have around 400 concerts in the venue, and around 240 of those are jazz, mostly contemporary jazz concerts in the jazz club, which has 140 seats. And out of those 240 concerts, around 80 or 90 usually are international performers, and many times they are unknown for the local audience. So we are sort of trying to take a big risk, knowing that normally there's like a valid business model behind what we do. And we do apply each year, and we do receive around 25% of our budget from the Hungarian Ministry of Culture. But since the business events also disappeared, we lost around 75% of our income. And our jazz club is also a restaurant, and we could operate the restaurant independently of the jazz club for a while at least. But this sort of closure really showed us that the people come for the music and come for the ambience and especially come for socializing and not for food. So for us, live streams are, I mean, great, but I mean, we as programmers and producers, we just really miss that sort of element of coming together, and that's where we see the value that we add. So that still has to wait for its return, and hopefully by summer things will be more or less back to normal. But again, due to our business model, summer is a bad season for a business. So for us, next September, we'll probably balance things out.
It's true. I agree. I totally agree that this socializing part, it's very important in live music. We've seen these concerts like with very separated chairs or open air. We had a lot of open air concerts in Barcelona, but very separated members of the audience. So it's kind of cold and far from the intention of these music clubs where an ambience is created and people can socialize with each other and all these things. And actually, I would like to talk about the audience, because here in Barcelona, we are often worried about not having a large audience for jazz music. And but I don't know if it's the case. I would say it's not the case in your countries or cities. Here we have a lot of amazing musicians. I would say that maybe we make that joke that we have more amazing musicians than audience actually to fill the concerts. I don't know what's the situation in each of your cities, countries. Whoever wants to start.
As I mentioned before, we have a lot of audience, but at the moment we noticed that people are not so easily buying tickets anymore and coming so easily. So yeah, this idea of getting together and having a drink and talking about the music, and that's not happening now. It's just about the concert. So it seems like we only have this basic small group of diehards who dare to come with the mouth mask and yeah, watch the concert and go home right after that. You know, it feels so unwelcome. But in the past, we did create a big community, and I think that's because of the city, but also because of lots of musicians, also from Spain and Barcelona. Actually, we have lots of musicians studying at the conservatory and remaining there, you know, and they stick together and they create great projects, but we still have to also create more audience for these young musicians. That's not always so easy. So filling up the hall is not always easy. And in fact, now it's good to give these young musicians a chance that you know that it's, that you will have 30 or maybe 73 people for sure. And you don't have to fill it up to the normal capacity. So actually, maybe, yeah, it sounds strange, but I find that an advantage of this period, that we can help out the musicians which don't have a big crowd yet. And yeah, you can now help them out and, you know, start building the audience. But I have to say, I didn't mention that before, we can only do 2 concerts a week now at the moment because of budget reasons. We can't do any more. That's too expensive, because we still want to pay the musicians a reasonable fee. We don't want musicians to play for free or to just do an online stream for free. So that's one of our missions for the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. May I continue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with us. We don't want to have the artists play for free, and that was when we did the first streaming concert, they also communicated we pay the normal fee, and if there are donations, they come on top. And but about the audience, I think your question was about the audience development in general, not to COVID, or what was it, the question that in Barcelona before COVID the audience was going down? Or
Yes, it's a very specific audience, I would say, a
Yeah.
jazz audience. And yeah, we often say that we have more musicians than audience for these musicians. So a lot of them have to travel to really play.
Yeah, as I said, we have a good development of the audience in the last couple 5 years or so. We changed a little bit in the program, and we got a lot of more young audience in the last years. So I think it's 30% more in 5 years and 50% more in ticket sales. So I can't complain about the audience before COVID, and I think that's perhaps it's because there's not too many other clubs around. I mean, there are 2-3 more clubs with a program in Munich, but we are like the BIM House. We are probably most important in the city, and so we don't have to complain about audience. And as I said, it's totally unclear what happens and how people react and how people will change because I think COVID will change people from being keen on socializing in the clubs. There will be many of them left, but if we get the same audience again, I'm not sure, because people are they get used to distancing, and they get used to this sort of thing. And I think we don't know what happens after normalization and after vaccinations and after immunity. I don't know. I think it will be a start which will be from ground up. We have to develop it again to get people back to the clubs and to get the uncertainties out of their minds. So it will be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can I add
Frank.
something? I agree. We don't really know how the audience is going to react to all of this. And I somehow have the feeling that the young people, they will get to normal quite easily and soon. And maybe the older people will, they will reject a little bit. They won't come so easily back to the club or so often, maybe. And maybe they will think, oh, I can also stay at home and watch, or that's my feeling.
That's what I think. Do you hear me?
Yes.
That's what I think as well, because I told you we didn't lose any members in numbers, but members we lost were quite old ones who said, okay, I'm 82 now and I came regularly to your club, but I'm sure I will not come to a club again in this life. So there were some of those reactions, but totally agree. The young people will come again, and I don't know about the reaction of the older audience, which is it's an important part of our audience.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Abel?
Well, so during the reopening period from July to October, actually, we quickly had to replace many international bands with local ones. And our club also had to have a reduced seating capacity. So we decided to invite more up and coming local bands, younger bands. And those young bands meant younger and stronger audiences. And the younger the band, the stronger the audience we had. Well, of course, those people were probably more sort of carefree to go to live events, and I think that they will be faster to return when we finally reopen. And we also started to program a bit of contemporary folk music with jazz elements, because that scene at the moment is a lot more vibrant in Hungary than like regular jazz. So that was also sort of like a new opportunity in all this chaos, that we suddenly had a lot of free dates, free evenings to program 4 or 5 days per week. So we could like experiment a bit more, and because normally we sort of program a year ahead. So if there's like a really young band which is just starting out and we like them, we just cannot offer them a chance quickly. And so now we could, and that was for us a very positive change actually. And I mean, once hopefully international programming returns, we also have this sort of experience that bands from certain countries also mean like a younger audience. So bands from Israel bring a young audience to us, and we also had some great experience with bands from Catalonia as well. So it's sort of like always a balancing act. But like I said, with all those free dates, we could experiment a bit more, and we learned some new things which we can hopefully use in the future.
We're talking about young audiences, which is good because it's a generational relief, it's the future of live music. And I'm thinking about, I don't know if you've heard about it, but what they call British Jazz Explosion. And what is new to me is that I've seen some concerts, not live, but in videos, where young people dance instead of sitting in chairs and clapping hands after each solo. So it's not that ritual that we're used to in jazz music now. It's different. It's more like going to a dance club, but it's jazz music, but at the same time, it's a lot more fun. I don't know if you've seen this, if you think that maybe young people can like change a little bit the ritual of jazz music in that sense.
Yeah, we have an interesting community of artists, of musicians in Munich, which founded a couple of years ago a big band, and they're quite young, and they're doing techno music with an original big band lineup, acoustic lineup, and they do techno. And they got some formations, smaller formations, bigger formations. I think next week we will stream the Christmas program of this big band from the club, which will be placed all over the venue to get the distances. And they have they're not mainly in our club. They're regularly in our club because our club is not really. It's not really possible to make a dance or techno event in this venue. We are really used to the chairs, and it does not feel quite good if we remove them. So we tried, but it's not our venue. But they are quite successful in other venues. In a techno club, for example, they're playing their big band concerts there, and they have a really big following community, and so. This is a movement, and we had some smaller ensembles out of this collective, which are doing really great programs, and so this is part of the future, and it's I like it as well. So.
Yeah, our venue is also made with chairs, but and we can take them out, but it's a lot of work. But now we maybe discovered that there are more possibilities. So who knows, in the future we could do some more of that. But still, the venue is made with chairs, so it's made for listening music more than dancing music. So I'm not sure how often we will be able to make a dancing setup. But interesting to think about for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, our jazz club is also has more or less fixed seating, so it's more like a restaurant setting, and it has a different vibe, I think. But what we did when we had a 2-day event with the Finnish artists, we had a DJ set after the last concert, so probably that's something that works or might work for us in the future.
Mhm. We have a couple of comments in the chat. I'm not sure that there are questions, but I'm going to read them, okay? Just in case anyone wants to say anything about it. Oriol Toldrà says to all panelists that although the pandemic put ourselves in a critical situation, the programmers all over are very motivated to go on with the programs, trying to give an artistic programming thing which is not easy but at all, but rewarding. Congratulations, so congratulations to you all. We finally achieved, I guess, to work more than 1 year in advanced programming just before the pandemic attack. Nowadays, we plan it in advance only for the next 2 months, and it is difficult to find international proposals, which is more or less what you have been saying at the panel. And then Emilian Tantana, to all panelists. Hello, I am Emilian Tantana from Jazz Freund, Bad Ischl in Austria. For sure, will be a change of public, but I think the number of audience will be the same. The people which love culture is hungry for it. So this is a positive view for the near future. I don't know if every one of you agree.
Yeah, I mostly agree. The audience will come back, but I'm not sure if it's a longer process or not. But, yeah.
I think also it will come back, but yeah, maybe more a younger audience, which is also not bad, of course. We will see how it works out, but yeah, let's hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to bring out the subject of festivals. I guess some of you maybe organize festival in your venue. I would like to talk about these big festivals. For instance, at least in Barcelona, it happens. We have like big events that take a lot of audience, but maybe this audience then don't go to concerts the rest of the year. So it has this effect of like concentrating people in a few in a small time, but then there is the rest of the year that you have to fill the venues, no? And it's difficult sometimes. So I wanted to know what you feel about these big festivals, if they are good for the venues, for the circuit, for the season, or it happens like here that they have this concentrating effect more than maybe building an audience for the rest of the year.
Can I react to that?
Yeah.
I think it's good. I used to work in Rotterdam, where I still live actually, and in 2006, that's already 14 years ago, the North Sea Jazz Festival came from Den Haag to Rotterdam. And at that time was also this fear that, you know, this big festival was going to take everything over. But what the city did was they created a fringe festival around the North Sea Jazz Festival in all the town. And of course, with city council support, financial support. And there was, during the big festival, there was in all the cafes and venues around town, there were concerts and happenings and everything related to the big North Sea Jazz Festival. And there was also a cooperation with the Jazz Festival. So I think as long as you, as being a venue or whatever, cooperate with the festival, you can create more audience throughout the year and more happenings. I think you don't have to be afraid of it, because, you know, it gives more, and you can also grow your communities and work together and build. That's my opinion, and I've seen it working in Rotterdam. So
I agree with that. I think there's one thing. I think there's a part of the audience which is they want to be in a big event. They want to be in a festival, or at least in a big concert hall to hear a jazz concert. And there's an audience which is happy in a club, and there's an audience which is concentrated on the music and not on the type of event where it is played. And so we can benefit from festivals if we are connected to them somehow, and we can benefit from having jazz music in the present in the media. And so I think it's not really a problem with the festivals. Especially for my club, it's always so when the festival season is, I get all the off days because I'm planning always quite late. So it makes a difference now with COVID for 2 months, because normally I plan 3 or 4 months in advance. And now I do it 1 or 2. So, but normally I have good opportunities during the festival season to get really great artists in the club. So in 2019, we had Monty Alexander playing for 150 people in Unterfahrt, and it was incredible, especially for him. I never saw an artist so happy like him, being so near to the public. Probably we in Munich there's not a really great festival, and so it's time to invent one. So we are in discussions with to get the money to do a festival. Probably not next year, but in the years after, we will be the provider of the festival as well, I hope. So I don't fear it is a competition.
Mm-hmm. What about Hungary, Abel?
Yeah, so in Hungary, there are quite a lot of jazz festivals in the summer, smaller jazz festivals, but those are very, very mainstream and sort of like jazz and wine and jazz and champagne, that sort of thing. And what we do as a club is completely different in terms of programming. We try to present adventurous European jazz. So for us, really, the strategy is to offer a program that nobody else does in this country, and hope for the audience to come and be happy to discover it. Now, we are open during the summer, but it's actually not a really great season for us. But the main reason for that, I think, is that we don't have any open air space. So in Hungary, like the summer is about getting away from the city and just going to the Balaton or whatever, like these vacation areas, and be outside. So we sort of, I mean, we program for the summer, but we don't really see an opportunity of cooperating with those festivals. Well, with one exception, there's the Valley of Arts, Művészetek Völgye Festival every year. And we try to to maybe like inform each other of what we are trying to book for that period, and then hopefully like a good deal comes up that we can have the band play there and play at our club. But really it's not a deep sort of partnership.
Mm-hmm. What do you think when you see other genres in jazz music festivals like pop or rock? Like I mean these particular artists that are meant to gather a mainstream audience that don't usually listen to jazz, but they are in a jazz festival, and sometimes it's a little bit confusing. I don't know what you feel about this this kind of programming.
I think when it brings a lot of people to a festival, I think it's fine. And, you know, if just a couple of these people go to a more like adventurous jazz concert, which also happens in these festivals, then it's good. So yeah, I have no problem with it. I also see in Holland, you know, like the North Sea Jazz Festival, a very big part of it is it's called pop music maybe, but there's a lot of good things about it, and it's always related some one way or another to jazz music. So yeah, so I think it's good that young people are there, and then they also have the possibility to hop over to a very complicated jazz concerts in the other part of the building. Yeah, so I have nothing more to add to it than that I'm also not afraid of that part. And also in the BIM-huis, you know, I also try to stretchen the borders and see, you know, where what is jazz nowadays? There's so much happening in jazz. So yeah, I think sometimes that's difficult, you know, when the music, there's very low level of improvising in music. Is it then still jazz? But then again, yeah, that's now maybe in some genres there's less improvisation than before, and still it makes good music. And if it fits in our venue, in our club, you know, if it's really loud bass drum, then it just doesn't sound good in our club, and then it's too loud maybe. So then it wouldn't be it makes sense to book a band like that. But yeah, if it's possible, then great.
That's the big question, no? What is jazz nowadays and what is not? I guess it's very the border is not really clear nowadays.
Yeah,
yeah, that's good.
Well,
No, I think, but that's interesting. I think because there's a tension there in these borders, and that's where it gets nice, you know. Is this jazz? And then it's, yeah, I think that's exciting. For me, that's exciting at least. And I think for the audience also.
Yeah, similar feelings. As I told you, the border is quite unclear. And the example I said with the big band doing techno music, it's jazz for me because it's not boring. It's really a lot of improvisation in it. And it's still it's popular for a young audience, for a different audience. So I think a big problem of the jazz venues, or especially mine in the past, was that people are afraid of jazz and they have to be pulled into the club and into a concert for the first time, and then they say, okay, this is really good music, and so it helps if it's a bit more exchange in audience. So why not? I'm not sure if I would book a headliner which is not really jazz or which is totally pop music, but probably I wouldn't do that. But I think it's not really a big problem because it helps to get the fears down of jazz.
But do you agree, Abel?
Yeah, I mean, we are not really worried about genres and styles. We are rather looking for something new and something surprising. So that's my answer, really.
Yeah.
We don't have much time, so I would like to discuss just a little bit as conclusion about the near future or the mid future. When COVID has passed, forget about it. Which do you think that are the main challenges for jazz clubs in the near or mid future?
I have a quite short answer, actually. For us, it's basically due to the distance of Budapest from, for example, Barcelona. We are really relying on air travel, and so this reliance proved to be a big problem this year. And I am not sure if the costs of air travel are going to rise in, I don't know, a year or something. So that might be a big issue for us, and that sort of might guide us towards, you know, places. I mean, tours which can be done by car or train or like ground transport. And also tour, we like to program ahead, but yeah, but like on the chat, yeah, Oriol said it's probably gonna get difficult or more difficult to organize tours and plan ahead. So we might have to adjust our schedule. Those are the two things in programming that might force us to change our ways.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because we have said it more or less before about the local bands. No, it's like maybe this is a good opportunity to support the local scenes, and maybe this is helping to build new audiences too, like nearer to the venue or the city. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. So it's like everything in life. It's really it's a problem, but it's also an opportunity now. So yes.
Yeah, the challenge will be to, as it was before COVID, to find interesting new artists which are really worth to be presented. And what I learned now is that there are many more young artists and talents around than I expected, because they didn't apply for concerts at Unterfahrt, the young, because they said, okay, this is the European stars, Israeli stars, the American stars, they are playing, all the German stars. They didn't ask for a gig, and so only a part of musicians asked for a gig who said, okay, I played 30 years ago, I played at Unterfahrt every time, why don't you book me? But that's not what I want to present. And this year I found so many young and fresh and new programs, and they did for the concert. We just asked some musicians, don't you want to play together? And they never played together, and they made special programs for the concerts during this. It was incredible. Also, I think I will rethink the programming in the future to present more of the young and talented artists which are to be discovered. And about your travel thing, I always have the hopes that it will be in the future. It will not be the same as in the past, when we had bands which were touring from Bari in South Italy to Pori in northern Finland to get to Barcelona, and from there to Budapest, and then to Warsaw, and then to Munich, and back to Finland again. And I think this was a really crazy development, that because airfares are so cheap, we don't think about how many miles you have to travel. So I would really love to get more connection between the venues which are doing a similar programming to get people on the road with lower efforts on traveling.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really a theme. I think we might easily go back to the old world, but I'm really worried that that's not going to be a solution. The old world is polluting and has a lot of environmental problems, and that's also a little bit my worry. The future of flying all these international artists into our venue, into Amsterdam. And we have a lot of audience for all these American and British artists, which are really great. But how long can we keep on doing that? I don't have an answer to that yet, except for that we should work as much as possible with all other venues to, you know, to what Michael was saying about flying from Bari to Finland, back to Barcelona, etc. We have to organize this much better, I think, in the future. More traveling more by train and maybe by car, green traveling. Yeah, so that's quite a task still, I think, how to solve that and how that's going to work out. And on the other hand, I think we also got used more and more to all these online possibilities and the streaming. So maybe this is going to play a more an important role in the future in the programs of different venues, and people can choose more to stay home or to go to the venue. And this can also create more audience again, you know. You have these people in the club, you have the club filled up, obviously, sold out, and people watching at home. So something like that.
Yeah, it's the same as I believe in.
Yeah.
Because especially in Munich, it's we are the most important jazz club, but the people living along Bavaria is quite a big area, and if they have to travel 2 hours for a concert, they will be happy to book a ticket for a live stream. And I got many responses like that on our streams, that we have to keep this for the future, because people can't travel so much, and they wouldn't come to the club, but they would buy a ticket for an online stream.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're a music lover or a jazz lover, that you might not go to the club all the time. I mean, you go one time you go to the club and you enjoy the atmosphere there and have a drink, and the next time you stay at home and invite some friends, maybe. Yeah, could be.
We will see.
We'll see.
Okay. So there is another comment. It's just a comment. Great point from Sasso Popovsky, who says, "Great point, Frank van Werkel. What is jazz today? Smiley face. Every improvised music fits this profile." So this is
it's an old discussion, huh? It's nothing new, right?
This would be a long discussion, actually, maybe for another panel, another day. So I don't know if you would like to add anything. Feel free. We have like 7 minutes left. So.
Well, I think it's what I do miss is like being in Barcelona now, right?
Yeah.
To meet colleagues and also meet musicians, you know, and yeah, talk about these things and share feelings, share thoughts, and yeah, meeting each other and enjoyment. Yeah, I really miss that. I think that's really necessary for our scene as well. I mean, yeah, to talk over these things and watching concerts and showcases. I'm trying to watch all the showcases of the Jazz I Am. Yeah, it's so much nicer to see it, the real live thing.
Yeah, same for me. I would love to be in Barcelona today.
Yeah, it's a weird year. Hopefully next year is going to be in sight. So I don't know. I also have to say that now I'm eager to visit your venues. I haven't been there, so now I really want to visit them. Hopefully with normal concerts and full of people and socializing and everything. So I hope it won't be long. Let's hope for it. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello again. Thank you to all of you. I saw we were nearing the end of this panel discussion. Thank you again to Frank, Michael, Abel, and Borja. Thank you. This was, I think, a very much needed panel discussion. And we are sending tons of luck and encouragement to you and your club staff. I think it's much needed right now. Thank you. It was a delight. And now in 5 minutes, we'll be keeping up the pace as we travel again to the Milano Jazz Club for another showcase. Today, you already know how it works. Just click on the next link in the professional area and just sit back, relax, and enjoy the next showcase. It starts in 5 minutes.